when we're looking here at the state of the season, like you're back, you've been playing the season pass. How do you feel about the interactions with the chapters and the card itself? Do you feel like you're like able to find the answers to your questions, or do you find like yourself just like completely at a loss because you're not playing on the PTR? So everything today is brand new to you.
So far I'm fine. So I find that like I have a lot of choices. When you first hop in, you have a lot of choices on what to do. As I'm whittling down my choices, I am finding that the activity card is not like, so I pulled up the WoW one to show how the WoW one works for people. Because it is the most similar of the 5 MMOs that I play to what New World has rolled out today. WoW's lets me literally avoid types of content I don't like, not just focus on ones I like and then do some of the things I don't like. I can literally avoid the things I don't like. So if you don't want to PvP, you don't have to PvP at all.
Yeah.
If you don't want to raid, you don't have to raid at all. If you don't want to do current expansion Dragonflight content, you don't have to do it at all. You could just literally just skip whole categories of content. The activity card that at least I got dealt, I don't know how different they can be. There's some icons that are in my activity card to be earned in my little bingo card. I can show on stream here that I didn't even have a shield. So like they're like, you can earn a shield icon. Well, there was no shield icon. So like some of that may vary by what you're getting. So like I don't know exactly what all this rolls out to be, but my first card, all 4 corners are PvP related. And as somebody that doesn't do a lot of PvP in this game, that starts to feel like I can hear Narc and the Ashes community like just
you don't like PvP?
Like,
we are the PvP MMOs are the biggest MMOs in the world. We just haven't had a good one. Like that's the counter like argument. It's like I'm all for the PvP MMO, but it's like let's just be realistic. We're like PvE MMO players vastly outweigh the PvPers, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's just a function of math. There are more people standing in this room than there are in this room, and the counter is like, but the room isn't as good. We're just waiting for a really good room, and then they're all going to come and fill in. It's like I would love to believe that, and I will like I'm a hopeful guy, but like I'm just a numbers. Like I look at the numbers, I'm like cool. Like if it happens, it happens. But there's just no perfect room out there that's going to appeal like to people who just don't want to do PvE content, in that regard.
So that's where I'm at, is like this is the first time I've been short of Zoth because I've refreshed that activity thing and it's getting more and more expensive.
It's a good use for Azoth. What do you think?
Finally, my God. The Azoth has gotten so like useless. Like there's so few times that I want it. Like step 1 of getting a really good tool is like make sure I get one that doesn't have freaking Azoth on it, because what the hell am I going to do with that? And now it's like, oh, I'm going to buy season stuff. And so I really like that. So I think that's a really good thing to have a use for Azoth. So far, I like it. Like, it'll be interesting to see kind of how hard it is to get to level 100. What are they really expecting? You have 85 days to get 99 levels. So is it easy to consistently get more than 1 level a day? Do you feel like you're expected to play 7 days a week for 3 months? I think a lot of MMO players probably do check in with the game pretty regularly throughout the week, but I think it's not uncommon in the MMO space to have a couple of days in your week that are heavy hitters.
Right. The devs said that they try to design this for like 40 to 50 hours of playtime to complete the season.
Well, that's more than enough to get all the drops.
Yeah, that should be reasonable. My change that I'm going to continue to advocate for is what you've said with I think the right amount of FOMO is like sell the season pass during the season, and then once season 2 rolls around, let us keep the season 1 pass if you haven't finished it, but you can only buy season 1 during season 1, and then down the road if they want to bundle it or something, because then you
want that Flaming Legend title at level 99, you were level 95.
Yeah. Well, right, and then you don't feel like, oh gosh, like I need to go play, but I got to go to work, or like life events happen, like oh, I need to go out of town all of a sudden unexpectedly. I guess I'm not going to get that thing I paid for. And I think if they could look at that transition as they go into season 2, etc., that I think would sell a lot more season 1, because then you during the next 85 days can decide if you want to drop $20 on the rewards, and as long as you do it within that time frame, it's yours, and you can level it at your own pace. So you imagine somebody who's like yeah, I'm thinking about coming back this fall. They might just log in, get the pass, log out, log in for season 2, get the pass, log out. Hey, now it's the fall, and they got 3 seasons passes worth of things that they can grind on and have fun with when they're in their like, you know, gaming time zone. I think that would be truly a big, awesome change that we could see here. Now, Veltis, and sorry if I'm butchering the name, regarding the activity card, he says it looks like a real big chore list to him, and that is what those things are in and of itself. But Chris, like you were saying, it's actually pushing you into things in this game that you really have never touched before. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's a good thing, as long as those things are not mandatory. So ideally what you have is in an MMO, there's, let's say, 10 ways to play, hypothetically. And you like playing 3 of them. And you've spent all your time since the game playing out focusing on those 3. And there might have been some little amount of story or something you had to do to unlock something, but you just got it out of the way. Whatever part you didn't like, you just got that out of the way. And you're focused on your 3 little buckets. And every time a patch comes out, there's updates to hopefully all 10 buckets. And so your 3 buckets get hit along with everybody else's 3 buckets. Well, ideally what this sort of thing does is say, hey, your 3 buckets are going to give you a decent amount of season stuff, but you could get a lot more reward if you were willing to kind of dabble in a couple of the other buckets. Just pick any other 2. And so that way you're looking at the other 7 and you're like, well, I know I don't like 3 of them, but the other 4, I really just hadn't given a fair shot. And it can be an invitation kind of just generously tossed out to say, why don't you just do a little bit of this and see if you actually like it a lot more than you thought you did. Like when your mother made you take a bite of a vegetable for the first time, and you might actually realize you liked it. Where it will struggle is if to complete the season pass, it's like, oh, well, you must complete 7 buckets. And you're like, I only like 3. So you actually spend more time doing things you don't like than things you do. That's the counterweight. And so, you know, every game that has a season pass type model has to try to balance that invitation into the rest of their content. You want people to be aware of, I mean, you built all 10 buckets, so you want people to try them all. You don't want people to feel forced, because that's where it just starts to feel like a job.
Mm-hmm. And so, clicking on the wrong one. Veltis follows up and says, but you can progress the season pass without doing the activity card stuff. Or in this case, the question. If so, then I'm more okay with it. But the activity card is the only way to get progress. Then I dislike it in its implementation. And the good news is, the activity card is not the only way you get progress. You're actually getting passive experience through all the activities that you're doing. And this even goes down to player XP. That was a big part of the feedback that I had. I was like, I'm fishing and I'm choosing to fish, and therefore I'm losing out on seasonal pass progress. That feels like you took fishing off the list. And they replied, hey, it's on the activity card. I was like, not every activity card. I can't lock it on the activity card. So no, it's not on the activity card. It's randomly there as a bonus, which is fine. Just give me some passive experience. And so what they've done is they say every 10,000 player experience that you get 25 season. It's not the fastest way. And I'm like, I'm not advocating for that to be the fastest way. I literally just want everything I'm doing to have some value for rewards. And this hopefully will lead into the, like, you know, the aptitude system for the player experience level and more. But that means quests, factions, crafting, gathering, everything you're doing is actually progressing you on that path. And guess what? And here's the fun thing is that while you're doing all those activities, you're also now getting those things to fill up on those cards anyway by choosing to do what you want to do. And so you're going to get those regular bonuses overall, because like the devs are great, in my opinion. We've had a lot of great conversations, because I was talking with them. I was like, because at first they were like, are you just trying to like speed through the pass? And I was like, actually, like, no, I like to play the game the way it feels very organic to me. Sometimes that's like, I'm going to focus in on these objectives. Sometimes I'm like, I'm just going to run in this direction and I'm going to see what happens. And that in and of itself gives me that level of flexibility, because if I had a hard day at work, and this was like the examples, like if I have a hard day at work and the thing I just want to do is chill on the Steam Deck and fish, that's great. And it's cool if I can get some of those bonuses. I'll be checking on those. But really, I just want to chill and fish. I don't want to feel like I'm not, I'm losing time on that. And what it is like, yeah, I'm fishing and I'm gaining just a little bit of that experience, just a little bit, nothing to write home at. But again, it just feels better. I'm glad they did something like that.
It's also a game that's really good at tracking that. Like, just because you hit max character level, you're still getting experience, because that's how they track standing, kind of. And like when you hit 200 on a crafting skill or whatever. There's like an entire post progression system.
Yeah, they have it for crafting and for gathering and refining. What they need it now, because we were actually talking about this in your live stream, they need it for weapons and they need it for player experience. Because the one thing the 10K to 25 seasonal doesn't show, it doesn't show any progress bar anywhere. Right. And they weren't going to get that in for season 1. But I am expecting and looking for, right, you know, just like fill it up, just give that feedback to the player. So you're like, hey, it is honestly, if anybody's ever played Gears of War, I am a huge Gears head. Like, I love the Gears of War series. It is my guilty pleasure. And one beautiful thing about how that game's designed is you're working on 1,000 different bars all like by playing. And some of the goals are just absurd, but there's all these milestones that like fill in that gap. And you're always like 10 minutes away from completing something. Like it's unreal how well they've got that, you know, that kind of like that carrot in front of the stick. You're like, oh, if I do one more match, I'm going to knock out 3 more of these objectives. Oh, I just did that match. Oh, if I did one more match, like I'm going to actually fill in these objectives. And by all of a sudden you're like, it's Vampire Survivors, but it's a third-person shooter. Chris, did I tell you I sat down and finally played Vampire Survivors?
Oh, well.
Lost 6 hours of my life.
That's getting to work this morning.
Oh man, that was insane. I was like, I sat down, I was like, oh gosh, I'm so excited. I look up and it was like almost 2 a.m. I was like, oh man, this is gonna suck tomorrow. Thanks, Fido.
But it's already gonna suck tomorrow, so you might as well play one more.
Just one more match. I'm like, oh okay. And then I'm close to being able to afford this permanent upgrade. Let's freaking go, baby. Oh yeah, 19. I love clapping those freaking weapons. And then any other thoughts on the season? Because I want to take a break to thank everybody for their support over on Twitch and on YouTube before we get into our second half of the show.
No, I think we'll just have to see how it plays out. They've got this journey version, they've got this activity card version. So we'll just have to see what it feels like. I think feedback will be necessary, and then there will be a second season sometime between 85 and 95 days from now.
Yeah, and the nice thing is we also know some of the big features that season 2 is going to have. We're going to see the raid, we're going to see transmog, and that's going to be an interesting system once implemented, because I think that's going to drive a lot of values to the Twitch drops that are live right now here on Work to Game. But that's also going to be any of the glamoring stuff, like having that as a collection to be able to sit down and build that out as a part of it, and in-game stuff. I think it's going to be that extra checklist that a lot of people are looking for, because beyond the transmog, the other one, like transmog, raid, and mounts, seem to be kind of the big 3. Occasionally you get someone asking about swimming. I'm not so worried. I've never been like, oh man, this game absolutely needs swimming. But beyond that, I don't want to discount somebody with that feedback, but this summer and this fall, like in and of itself, it's like New World's going to be adding in like so many cool systems. And the thing I'm looking forward most about the raid, because I love open world stuff. I love running around the open world with everybody. And we've done multiple groups, like, but it's just like, hey, you're captain of team, team A, you're captain team B, you're captain team C. The summer not only adds the raid, it also adds the interface so that we could make our own war band that's running around the open world. So it makes it a little bit easier to hopefully manage these parties and take on bigger world bosses, which are also coming and on the way, which is really exciting to see. So I think it's actually like, when I've been looking at New World for 2023, I was like, this is a really big year, because then it leads into the expansion. Then you get to see, hopefully some big things from the team this year, which will be exciting. But nevertheless, there's a lot of other big games coming out on the horizon as well.